I think we're live.
Are we good?
We're good.
Did we figure this out?
We got it. Vivi agrees.
We're off to a great start.
Welcome. My name is Dana.
And I'm Dominic.
And this is the first episode of our podcast called The Unemployed Diaries.
Yes. Welcome to the Unemployed Diaries.
Yeah. So this is kind of an idea that we got started just because, well, we were both unemployed.
We are both currently unemployed. Yeah.
And the first day of unemployment, I think I posted something about it, and you messaged me that you were in Mexico.
Yeah, I literally just got back yesterday
from
Mexico, so I was there for about a week for a wedding.
Yeah, and then we pretty much just threw it all together.
Oh, so you, within a week, you just got laid off?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been about a year and, 2 months for me.
Yeah.
So, I'm very unemployed.
It's okay, it happens.
It's all right, yeah.
So, I thought it would be a good idea to start talking about how we met.
Okay.
And then we can really get into, the thick of the episode. But I feel like people might wonder how did we, kind of come together in the first place?
For sure. So Dana and I met through school. We both went to Columbia here in Chicago. I think the only college/university to have a Quidditch team.
True.
But we met during a study abroad program. So our college had a thing called J term, which meant for January. We essentially had our winter break was 3 weeks during the month of January. It was long.
Yeah, I almost feel like it was 4 because I was in Europe before you guys even got there.
Yeah, you got there before us. Yeah. So we did was it creative writing? What was the?
Yeah, I think it was creative writing.
Yeah, it was creative writing. It was what they called a J term class, and we were gonna go to Paris for 2 weeks. Why did you? I had my reason for wanting to go to Paris, but what was your reasoning for going to Paris or wanting to go?
Well, I love traveling. It's always been something that I love to do. So I knew before I was ever even in college that studying abroad was something that I wanted to experience, just even when I was in high school. And then when the opportunity arose, I applied for, to do it. And I got in, and I said, okay, then this is what we're doing. And I also think doing the J term was way more doable for me than doing an entire semester per se, just in terms of financially and the classes I needed to take. So
remind me, you were a fashion business major? Okay.
Yes.
So Dana was fashion business. I was advertising and art direction. So both great fields and degrees to have.
Oh yeah.
This day and age.
I think there was a lot within my major that skills that I took away that weren't necessarily always pertinent to fashion. That definitely existed within the major. But a lot of it was just general knowledge on learning about economics and how can you, anticipate inventory and, calculating your profits and, all of that. It was a lot. I mean, it still was a lot of math, but it was the kind of math that my brain understands.
Right.
And I also minored in public relations. So a lot of it was writing for me. A lot of it was how would you navigate brand content and dealing with a crisis.
Right.
Yeah, crisis management.
Crisis control, right.
Yeah.
And I felt creative writing for me, being an advertising major, a lot of advertising is copywriting and a lot of the text that goes into either a print ad, print materials, also digital posts, digital advertising, social media. So I felt, aside from me just wanting to go to Paris, that the creative writing would help me better understand how to come up with a better ad, how to communicate when I'm working with graphic designers, when I would be working with copywriters to do that. But like you said, I also wanted to travel. I thought the 2-week time frame was perfect. I am very much a homebody. So being away from like all my creature comforts for like more than a month, I think I'd go crazy. So 2 weeks was great. And also I was surprisingly robbed of a chance of going to Paris when I was in high school. Not to give too much detail, that could be a whole other episode too in itself. But essentially my high school had a program and I signed up for it. They told us how much it was going to be. And my parents were like, yeah, go ahead, let's do it. They made the deposit, made the payments, whatever it was. And then my school was like, oh, you can't go anymore. They gave me a check, like giving all our money back. And I was like, what's going on? They're like, well, we closed it off just to people who are taking French. I wasn't taking French at the time. Or learning Latin, and you're not doing any of those. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so then what's the problem? They're like, well, not everybody can afford it. So we're having them have like sponsors, and we're going to do fundraisers for them to go. And I was like, oh. And I'm like, not to sound like bragging or anything. I was like, but so I could afford it. We did afford it. We were able to pay for it. And now I'm being penalized for that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, it's just not fair to everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I didn't go. So then when I had the chance in college to do it, I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But we did have to write like an essay, right? To like...
I think the end essay that we had to write was over 20 pages.
No. Like we had to write an essay as like why we wanted to go and why it would be beneficial. Yeah.
Yes, we did. I think for me, I wrote something about how I had already been to Paris, but I really wanted a more like immersive experience.
Okay.
And I wasn't getting creative writing classes in my major. It was a lot of technical writing.
Right.
And I do love writing and the more creative side of it. And, you know, it didn't seem too... this sounds bad to say, but it didn't seem too difficult to do.
Right.
You don't want to, like, study abroad and be, you know...
Right, take, like, biology or something.
Exactly, yeah. So it seemed doable and an exciting opportunity.
Sure.
And I had already been to Paris, and I knew that I liked it, and I was like, I would love to go again and really, like, dive into the culture, which I feel like we...
I think we did.
I think we did, yeah.
For sure. So that was my first trip that we met on to Paris, and then since then I've been back twice. And so I've been to Paris a total of 3 times. And each time I go, I love it. It's aside from Chicago where we live, it is like one of my favorite cities of all time. I made friends there these last 2 trips, so now if I want to go and just like not pay for hotel, I can go stay with them. And, you know, kind of relive what we did, you know, back in 20... So, for context, we met in 2017. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Oh, yeah. 2017. Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That is so crazy to think about how much time has passed. I feel like it was just yesterday still.
It does. I feel like our spring break trip to Fort Lauderdale was yesterday. That was so much fun. That was
a lot of fun.
That was.
Oh, my gosh. We need to have a whole episode about our spring break together.
Shooters? Do you remember Shooters, the restaurant?
And there was, like, people from my high school there.
Yes.
Which was...
That was
crazy.
Wild. Crazy,
I mean, you don't go from Chicago to Fort Lauderdale for spring break and expect to see people from your high school at a restaurant.
I am very grateful and thankful to say that since I graduated high school, I have not run into anybody I went to high school with.
You are very lucky.
I'm very lucky. I've seen them in passing, like, if we're at, like, the same restaurant or, like, at a bar, I'll see them across the way, but, like, I have not, like, actually had any interaction with them.
Interesting. You know what's fun, though? Like, if you're out at a bar and you do run into someone that you haven't seen from high school in years, it really depends on the person.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is really fun to connect and go, oh, hey, like, maybe we didn't talk a lot in high school, but how are you doing now?
Yeah,
and, like, actually one night I was out with some friends in my hometown that I grew up in, And we ended up, like, getting an Uber. I mean, I hadn't seen these people in years. We ended up getting an Uber. We ended up going to, like, another bar. We ended up going to, like, a club. I don't think I came home until, like, 5 a.m., but it was so fun. We went to a Denny's.
Well, you went to a co-ed high school, though, right?
I did,
Oh,
yeah.
so, you know, I did it. I went to an all-boys high school.
Yeah.
We can get into that, too.
We need to have my boyfriend Gerard on because he also went to an all-boys
really? Where did he
school.
If you know the name of it.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm so bad because I feel like I
fine.
should. Pat's? No. St. Pat's?
If it was a suburb school, I don't know.
No, he went to school in the city. He went to an all-boys
So, just
Catholic school
for a little
in the city.
For a little up, I mean, I did too. So, a little upfront background about me. I went to, I grew up on the southwest side of Chicago. I'm about 5 minutes south of Midway Airport. I went to Catholic school from 3-year-old preschool all the way up through 12th grade, my senior year of high school. So I went to St. Rita, all boys. And then I went to Moraine Valley for my associates. Shout out to Moraine. I loved Moraine. I don't want to hear any slander about Moraine Valley. And then I went to Columbia where I ultimately met Dana.
Yeah.
And you grew up in Villa Park,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
The Jewelry Exchange.
The Jewelry Exchange in Villa Park. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, my parents bought their house in Villa Park like a year before I was born, and I'm their oldest kid. So they had me. They still live in that house. I went to public school like my entire school career. Then I went to Columbia right after high school.
I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school, so that's why I went to a community college to figure that out. Which, going to Columbia, I was supposed to have a different major. I didn't know that. Applied to get into Columbia for admissions to be a product designer, and because Columbia had a creative program for that, a creative major.
Yeah.
Applied, got in, with that being my major, and then when I went to go register for classes, the computer system would not let me. Like, the classes were listed. I talked to my counselor. They gave me all the codes, and I could not register. So, just come to orientation, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I get to orientation, and my counselor's like, why haven't you signed up for anything? I'm like, the computer won't let me, and you said that you have some way to, like, override and put me into a class. And then she's like, okay, hold on, give me a second. She comes back. She's like, I am so sorry, but no one told you that. That major's been canceled. And I was just like...
That's, like, devastating.
What do you mean? Yeah, I, like, literally cried. Luckily, I, like, legit was crying. Like, I was walking to my car because I had no idea what to do. And my dad was working because my dad worked for the city, so he was in town. He was like, let's go to lunch and talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I, like, literally walked down Wabash. And it was dead middle of January, like, negative 20 degrees, tears on my face. Until I figured out what I wanted to do. My sister was going there at the time, and I was like, I'll just do your major. I'm like, if I can't design the products, I'll just sell them. And that's how I kind of fell into advertising, which Columbia's reasoning was, we canceled that major because the industry really wants people who are engineers and can do the creative. And I don't know if you've met people who are, like, engineer smart. They're not the most creative people.
No, not entirely.
No, and
not really.
People who are creative are not very technical.
No.
And so the industry at that time, like 10 years ago, really wanted them to be one. They wanted to teach the technical people the creative side and the creative people the technical side. And all these years later, they realized it just doesn't work.
Don't you feel like that's a great concept, though? Because I do think a lot of creatives get stuck at the technical aspect. Because it's like, also the communities we kind of exist in can feel really separate.
Yeah.
So for a lot of my friends who maybe want to try kickstarting a business or a creative endeavor, I think the technical side is where they feel like they get really lost, and then they don't have the connections to figure out how to navigate that area. I think if you don't have someone in your space who can kind of help you guide you through that, it can I think that's where you get stuck. And then in the same turn, if you're really technical, yeah, you can do the technical side, but it's the ideas that you need to execute, you know?
And I think you, as a fashion business major, kind of learn the both. Like, that the fashion world is not just all about the art and the clothing, but it's also, there's a business behind it. So you learned the technical side of the fashion world, which I think is
You know what's funny?
amazing.
Like, one of the hardest major classes I had, I'd say, I had a few, but for the most part, all of the major courses that I had to take that were also requirements for the design students were always the hardest. And I think it was because of that difference where the design students, they knew all of the, pieces of a garment, like how to stitch all the different types of stitching, how to stitch them together. But when it came to how do you advertise this to the masses, how do you, how do you actually budget for this design you want to make?
Right.
That's where I think they got stuck. Whereas, like, in turn, being on the fashion business side, I was like, I can't memorize all this stuff. I don't know how to use a sewing machine. I've, like, never really sewed in my life, but I have, like, a passion for kind of the garment when it's at its end stage, when it's already been made. And then I'm like, okay, this is now a piece of art, and I want to, like, put it out there. I want to advertise it. Or maybe I have ideas, but I don't know how to execute making something. I would need someone to do that for me. So those were always the hardest, but we kind of worked together. Usually it was still a lot of collaboration where, if we didn't understand something, a lot of times the design students did, and then vice versa.
Right.
And we worked together.
Mine was very similar, where I knew how to tell graphic designers, I needed to tell copywriters what I needed from them. I knew how to talk to people who were in PR, people who... I knew how to direct them.
Yeah.
Like, if a company came to me, it's like, we have this product, we want to sell it, this is our idea, and then it'd be up to me to be like, all right, take that company's idea or that client's idea, come up with a concept, pitch it to them, and then take that concept and execute, and have the team of copywriters and graphic designers execute it. Talk to a production team with TV, talk to people doing commercials, talk to people who can do radio and do press for it, talk to social media teams. So a lot of my background comes from, all right, I can come up with the concept, now I need a team of people to help me execute that concept. So same thing, like in the fashion world, all right, you had the creative people make the garment, now you're like, how do we get this into the store? How do we get this to production from a sketch to, a handmade item to mass production? So there's a lot of overlap in what we both studied.
And then there's also the entire, like, artistic side of fashion where it's not made for the masses. It's not really made for anyone. It's made for
an editorial.
It's here is something that a designer thought of and created from the ground up, and it's really for whoever wants it. And if somebody else becomes inspired by it and they make a rendition of that, that's more so, I feel like, what we see from a lot of more avant-garde fashion, where it's not for everyone. But you get inspired by elements of maybe a new silhouette or something, and then you advertise that out to the masses. But it's all interconnected, and you still need a team. It's still really hard to do, I think, any kind of creative endeavor just solely on your own.
100%.
It's so much work. So I think Columbia did a really good job at teaching us how to collaborate.
Yes, I would agree. Would 100% agree. And I think that's going to lead us into kind of like before getting laid off, what were you doing? What was your previous job?
Yeah, so my previous job was so different than anything that I was doing. I basically graduated college, back in 2019, and I needed a job because I didn't want to move back home, and I needed to pay rent. So I ended up landing a job at a mortgage company as a business development specialist. And I didn't necessarily love it, but it was my first job out of college, you know, it felt like a big accomplishment at the time. And it was. Like, looking back on it, I'm proud of myself for, you know, landing something like that. I didn't see it as being a lifelong career, but I needed to get my foot in the door somewhere. And I also knew that I never had a desire to move to New York and do the whole internship thing. So that kind of played a big part too in determining where was my career going to go post-college. I didn't have any desire to, like, move to New York. And so, I landed this job, and then I ended up kind of switching departments while I was there. I got into mortgage underwriting, which is basically the approval stage of a loan. So, and when you go to buy a house and you need a mortgage, you have to supply documents. There's a lot of paperwork involved. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that nobody sees, including stuff that has nothing to do with the client or the, you know, person buying the home. It has to do solely with, you're dealing with title companies, you're dealing with the realtor side. There's a lot of different aspects involved, but you're basically ensuring that a loan is approvable. Right. Based on usually federal guidelines. Sometimes the companies will have their own individual overlays, so you also have to follow those rules. It's a lot of risk analysis. It's very numbers crunching. It's very tedious and time consuming. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of skimming. But I really liked doing it as the job that I had. I saw growth for myself there, and, you know, as you do something more and more, you become better at it. So, you know, I found myself feeling like, okay, I'm grasping this as a career for myself. This is feeling good. And then I felt like I needed to change to a different employer. Mm-hmm. I loved the team I worked with. I loved everybody I worked with, but the company I was in was kind of taking, just based on the sort of financial place, the market and everything that we were in at the time. There's a lot of layoffs happening, and I didn't want to end up getting laid off. So I was fortunate enough to land a job with a different company where it was more secure. Yeah. But then things change. Yeah. You get new managers in, and oh boy. And things start changing, and again, we ended up in a position where the market is just not conducive. And then I think, I don't want to, like, speculate, but I do think, you know, they started introducing a lot of AI, and, you know, it's supposed to be a tool that's helpful, and I do think it can be. Mm-hmm. But I also see how when you're a company and you care about profits, and now you have AI tools that make it so one person is doing now the job of three. Right. Well, now you don't need those extra two bodies, you know? And so, unfortunately, I was cut, but life goes on, and now we're here. Yeah. Yeah.
That is how the world is going right now. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say that I was laid off, or I use laid off loosely. Mm-hmm. But I worked for a very, very major retail pharmacy chain. Yeah. I worked in the pharmacy for 10 years. I worked throughout college while I was in school, and then I worked there throughout the pandemic. So I spent nearly 10 years slinging pills to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. That's the little rhyme I came up with.
I love that.
I don't know if I'm the first person to think of it, but 2 years after the pandemic, it was 2022, I was like, you know what? I gotta do something with my degree other than be a retail pharmacy technician. And don't get me wrong, the job was fine. I had no complaints, other than working weekends.
Yeah.
But it paid well. I was good at it. I had a really good team of young adults working with. I had 2 good pharmacists that we worked under. Hi, Rob.
Didn't you work with your sister?
She worked in the same store that I did, but she didn't work in the pharmacy.
Oh, okay.
Maybe one day we can have her on, and because she has her own stories to tell
to.
too. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
We could have a retail nightmare.
Yes.
Episode.
Yes, please, because you started in retail too. You worked at.
I did.
You worked at.
We can't say the name, but
they they sold a very popular candle, right? For a long time.
Oh yeah, they did. I forgot about that. Yeah, one of yes.
Yeah, whenever I see that candle, I think of you.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is really funny.
It's a candle that smells aquatic, but its name has nothing to do with water.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that candle's so good. But working there I loved working there though. Like I loved my time in retail. I have to say that I think I was fortunate where I didn't really have to deal with like the worst people. I mean, it did happen occasionally, but for the most part, we had a pretty
the client base,
decent clientele.
The clientele or the customer base for that particular store.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get too many rowdy people.
No.
No.
Yeah, and I think that helped a lot. Yeah.
My very first job out of high school is the restaurant where they tell you guac is extra. And I worked there for 4 months, and it was still to this day the worst job I've had. Because I remember one of the shift leads telling me, this company is great. You can work your way up. You can become a manager and a district manager and do all the other stuff. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this restaurant is not my career goals. Like, I want to go to school and do something else. And they're like, you really put school first. I'm like, absolutely. And like the managers didn't like that. And I thought that was really odd. It's like I'm sorry that I don't want to sling burritos all my life.
You know what though? I think a lot of it's hard to say because I think it happens a lot. Like I worked in retail and I was able to work up into being an assistant manager for one of the stores.
Yeah.
I think once you're in the managerial role, I think that's where I kind of lost the fun of the job because you do feel such an immense amount of pressure from higher ups to meet these goals. You're dealing with schedule conflicts. There's a lot on your plate, and there's a big disconnect between executive management of a lot of these big retailers and their actual workforce who are, it's usually minimum wage. You're hiring high schoolers. You're hiring kids who are, that's the point of minimum. I mean, we could get into that. I have thoughts on all of that. But for the most part, minimum wage jobs have kind of been, seen as, someone who is not going into this for their career. Right. It's supposed to be a job that's, just
a stepping stone.
Yeah. A first job for someone.
Right.
And they want professional, a lot of the executives just don't realize the disconnect. They want professionalism. Like I remember there was a point where we got new management in at the retailer I was at, and they wanted us to find staff whose hours would be Monday through Friday between noon and 4. Like, where are you finding that? It was impossible. Yeah.
I see that. To me, seems ideal because when I worked at the restaurant, my favorite shift was 12 to 4 or 10 to 2, and they call those the rush hours.
Yeah.
And basically, my job was to stand between the person who did the lettuce and the salsa and the register.
Yeah.
And I was bagging and asking, what did you order today? And then this way the cashier would hear me and they would take the order. And that was my favorite shift.
Interesting.
But then
you're lucky, but you were also in school.
But I also was in school, right?
Yeah. So, it's just difficult. I think it can be really difficult to manage.
Yeah. I think that like that 12 to 4 shift really speaks to like, I don't want to marginalize anybody or put like stay at home moms who are like empty nesters now.
Yes.
Like they want something to do during the day, but they don't want to commit to it because they already have kids in school or grandkids coming, but they still want a little extra money. So I think like that shift appeals to them.
Yeah.
But again, it's very hard to find, like you said. I went from working in the pharmacy in March of 2022, and same company, same pharmacy retail chain, I went to work in corporate as a store designer. Now, I've always had an interest in interior design and architecture, but there was a lot of math involved. And while now I'm good at math, I realized I never was bad at math. It just wasn't taught to me, in the right ways. To liking it and figuring things out. So my role at the corporate, which I did for 3 years, I worked with our clinic partners. So some of these retail pharmacy stores have clinics inside of them. And I worked with the partners to move them in or to move them out to make sure that their branding was represented. It was always a 60-40 between the pharmacy and then the clinic. I handled the bookkeeping, essentially, like catalogs, internal catalogs of wall colors, floorings, all the different type of permanent signage. I worked closely with a fixtures team that came up, that they handled all the fixtures, the shelving, anything you saw in the store. I did millwork, I did back of house, I worked with our contractors, signage contractors, construction. I worked closely with our engineering and HVAC teams to come together to do the store. And then later, I think the last the last year of my career there, I got into the more creative side of like concepting what the stores are going to look like, working with the marketing team. So when marketing came up with a new brand look and feel, my team would translate that into the interior design space. Now, my last boss, I had 2 bosses at the time that I was there. First boss left me alone. Like, he did not, he was like, all right, this is how you do this. I'm going to go do my work. If you have any questions, let me know. Left me alone, left me in the dark, left me to figure things out on my own, which was helpful to a point. But there were times where I needed, like, hey, I need guidance on this. And sometimes he wouldn't reply right away. And then 2 years in, he got laid off. And then that's when my second boss, she took over and was a complete opposite. She had never been a manager before at all. And she got her job as soon as she got out of college, which, another story for a different episode. She had no idea how to manage a team. And she was a micromanager.
That's the worst.
I literally went from not being managed at all to somebody who was like, when we meet once a week for our one-on-one, I want an hour by hour list of what you did and what you accomplished that day.
Do you feel okay, I can relate to that. When that happens, was there a part of you when that was brought to your attention by your manager where you went, they don't trust me?
Oh yeah.
Because that's how I felt. I was like, am I doing something wrong here?
So my first manager, I felt like he didn't trust me, even though he let me do my work on my own. So his boss, our director, she would periodically reach out to me, and she's like, hey, how's this project going? And I'd say, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, he didn't fill you in on this project, he didn't ask you for his help. I go, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then literally 20 minutes after her and I would talk, he would reach out and be like, oh, I'm working on this project, I want to get your input on it. So I went from that to a boss who didn't trust me enough to fill me in on what he was working on, to a boss who, one, didn't trust that I was doing a good job on my own projects, and then she also did not, it wasn't only me, I found out later that she didn't let anybody in on what was new and upcoming within the projects. She gave us just enough information and for us to go off and do our work, and then if anything was coming down the pipeline, she wouldn't tell us until it was already full swing and then we needed to work on it. So I had 2 bosses who didn't trust me, but in 2 completely different ways.
That's hard to navigate, I think. When you're in that position where you're taught one way to do your job, and then somebody else comes in and it feels completely different, and I think that's why communication is so important no matter what job you're doing, between manager and employee.
Yeah,
because there's this sense of, oh, I'm not doing the right thing, but my manager also isn't directly telling me that, and it's awkward and uncomfortable to go to them and say, hey, am I doing everything right? I feel like I'm clearly not, because you're
not saying anything.
You're not saying anything,
right.
But I feel like you're making me really prove myself. And then I think the frustration hits where the hiring process these days is so challenging and difficult, and there's so many rounds, and it's like it feels like they're looking for, some Harry Potter to like fill their role. And when you finally get that when you are given the job, you would think that, oh, okay, well, they hired me after, numerous rounds of interviews and everything, and they've looked at my resume, and to feel like you went through all of that just to be hired, and also it still feel like you're treated like you have never had any experience,
right.
is it feels degrading.
100%. One of my most recent interviews, it was in the fall throughout the winter, and like they dragged it out, which the companies, if you're listening, please don't drag out this interview and hiring process. It was for a cosmetics store, and the position was for exactly what I was doing with the pharmacy company. Same store designer, position, same responsibilities, if not even more. And they're like, all right, we want to offer you this amount. How much were you, well, first ask me, how much were you making at the other company? I'm like, I'm making this amount. Oh, we only want to offer you this. And I'm like, that's a third of my previous salary.
Yeah. And
to this day, several months later, if you go on LinkedIn or to their website, that job is still open.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I don't even have the words to I don't think I've hit that part yet in my job search journey. I know it exists. Yeah. And I'm like trying to mentally prepare myself for when that time comes.
I think in the last year and a half, I've applied to over, I would say close to like 300 jobs. And that's kind of conservative. Yeah. Based on what I've seen online, people are like, they keep track. They're like, I've applied to like 1,200 jobs. Yeah. And that's because I'm really like trying to find something that I have experience in that I would have a better chance. And I think I've been through the interview process at least 10 times with, either being ghosted or being told after like the first initial like phone interview, no thanks. Yeah. And it's frustrating. I think something like this is I've really only been unemployed for a week. So my experience is I feel like different. I think just today I got my first 2 rejections, which I'm not as hurt about because it feels like there's still time. Right. I think in a way it feels, okay, I still have time. But there's so many emotions that I feel like I went through in just this past week where, you get the initial news that, you no longer have this job. And the first thing I did was I called my parents and I cried. Yeah. And then I pulled myself together and I just had to really look at it through a lens of this happened for some reason bigger than I am understanding myself. And this is my first time ever being unemployed, ever not having a job since I was 16 years old. And it's crazy. It's crazy to think that I've never had a break, but I look at myself from even 2 weeks ago. Like, that girl was so burnt out. Yeah. She was, and I think there's an element of me that still does feel burnt out from the career I was in. Right. Where it's really easy when you've been working for so long, and I think for a lot of people our age,
you feel like for most of us, we've also been undercompensated for most of our working career. And now we're at an age where we should be buying homes and starting a family or traveling all over the world. Like, we should be able to have trips. And when you're not getting that and all you're getting is, well, I can afford food, barely, I can afford my bills and a car payment, and that's it. It's very easy to get burnt out, and it's also easy when you're doing work that you're not really passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think that exists in a lot of places. A lot of jobs that exist in, I can't speak for, outside of the U.S., but a lot of the jobs are, it is just, you come to work, you grind, you do what you're told, and you leave for the day.
Yeah. And
you do that every single day. And a lot of these places don't really care about your feedback.
No.
You really feel like you are just a body. You're just a robot. You're just there to do work, and then they can let you go at the drop of a hat. And it's hard to feel motivated,
right?
To continue doing that.
And this is not just corporate. This is like any job now. Yeah. You are disposable. They can have someone do what you're doing within 2 weeks. It's when you think about it that way, it's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, for them to and then I think it's so jarring to go from, oh, everybody is so disposable to, we have now 100 applicants for the role, and we have to, really see who's the best applicant out of all of them and go through 5+ rounds of interviews and give them a project to complete, and you're doing this numerous times over. Like, I'll see jobs still that have been posted for months.
Yeah.
And it's like, you really haven't found a qualified person to get in there? It doesn't make sense to me.
Same. There is a homeware store. It's a Chicago-based homeware store. And my first manager, he went to go work there, I think seasonally, I don't know what it was like a contracted position, so it was just for like the winter. I applied to them like right before I was let go, and I completely forgot that I applied there. And 2 weeks ago, I kid you not, I got an email, thank you for applying, but we've moved forward with somebody else. And I was just like, I don't remember. And then I was like, oh yeah, I did apply for that. It's like, yeah, over a year ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I mean, I feel like I have a close relationship with my parents.
Same.
But they've never really experienced this. My dad's been in and out of jobs, so I think he kind of understands it. But he also isn't a young person going through it. Like, the 2008 recession did a number, but, he was able to find his footing and get back. My mom has, luckily for her, she's part of a nurses union, and she has a certain level of protections with her job. And I mean, she's going to retire soon anyway. But I think the last time she had to look for a job was 1995, 1996, 1995, I think.
So my mom, she went to beauty school. She did that for a little bit, and then after her and my dad got married, she worked for the airlines.
Yeah.
Then she worked for a bank, and then once she started a family, she became a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
When I was younger, like preschool age, she sold candles. It was one of back in the day when MLMs weren't as scammy as they are now. And then she didn't
were they tea light candles?
Well, she sold a lot of tea lights. I still love tea lights. So she did really well at that. And that's what kind of got us to traveling, because my family travels a lot, and because of all the incentive trips that they had, she would always, for the most part, would qualify for that, and that's how we started going on trips. And then she stopped doing that because it took up a lot of her weekends doing the parties and things like that. And she booked a lot of our travel through a travel agency 2 blocks from our house. She had interested in it. She always wanted to do travel. She got certified. She went to school for it and got her certification. She did that for about, I want to say 8 or 9 years, and then the original owners of the agency didn't want to do it anymore, so they sold it to her and her coworker, and then they've owned it now for about 11 or 12 years.
Wow. That's awesome.
So my mom's always kind of like, quote unquote, ran her own business.
Yeah.
So she hasn't had to do a job interview since, like you said, like the 90s.
Yeah.
When she was still working like at the banks and things like that. And then my dad's been working for the city for over 30 years at this point, so he's never really had to go through the interview process either.
And it sounds like for you, like I feel like I can kind of relate a little bit where you have a parent or both parents who also have no knowledge of the field you studied in, and they can say they do, but they never worked in it. Like, you know.
It's tough too, because like, so my mom owned her own business, and my sister and I, who both had the same major, but my sister will always say that she has a BFA, I just have a BA. Yeah. So she'll always throw that in my face. She'll make that distinction. Like, there's been times where we want to do like promotions and help my mom's business out, and my mom's just like, I don't think that's the right approach. Like, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm not gonna, like, she's my mom, I don't want to argue with her. But it's like, we went to school for this, and you're still telling my sister and I don't think that's the right idea. Yeah. So, I've had that before. Yeah. But you were talking about how, like, these companies have, like, hundreds of applications, they can sort through it. My first experience with that was an internship that I was, like, quote-unquote, interviewing for. So one of my final projects before I graduated, we were working with a real ad agency, with a real client, and they gave us a brief. They're like, this is what the client's looking for. Here are the selling points of their products. Yeah. This is the type of ad campaign we want. And so I worked with a copywriter. And I didn't have a graphic designer. I didn't have somebody who could, like, do more, like, computer-generated images or things like that. With the crash course that Columbia gave me in graphic design, I had to put that to use and then send all those ads to my copywriter for him to add things, and I still ended up editing them. Yeah. I still had to edit them because it was just like, it felt very rushed, very like, oh, here we go, this is what I came up with. And it was kind of like word for word verbatim what the brief was. Yeah. I was like, they're asking us to go beyond that. So I had to, like, tailor it, do everything, and then present. And I gave the client what I thought they wanted, which was short and sweet, to the point, wholesome, family-oriented is what they wanted. And my work ended up being chosen by the client to be fully fledged out by the ad agency. And the way the ad agency, when they came to our classroom, they're like, you know, if your work is chosen, you get to be an intern and work on this idea and see it come to fruition. Well, my work was chosen. And my professor's like, all right, someone's going to contact you from the agency to work out the details of the internship. Yeah. They contacted me. The woman's name, the recruiter, is one letter off from, like, a very common name. Okay. So, like, let's say her name was like, let's say it was, I'm trying to think of, like, a two-part name. But let's say her name was Lou Ann. Okay. And I just called her Lou. Okay. Lou got pissed at me. It was like, my name is in the email. She's like, we're not going to have any further communication because you got my name wrong. And literally, it was autocorrect. It was off by one letter. And this recruiter got so pissed off. And I reached out to my professors, like, it was an honest mistake. What do I do? Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, we'll talk to her. So she came back, gave me one more chance. I sent her all my student work. And she's like, you haven't done any freelance work while you were being a student? I was like, no, I'm sorry. I haven't had much time because I was working and going to school. I'm like, I didn't have time to do anything freelancing as an art director. Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, oh, it's okay. Well, you're one classmate. I've known him for a while. Yeah. We're just going to give it to him. And I was like, okay. I went to my professors, I was like, hey, like, this is what we were promised. And they're like, yeah, no, that's what they want to do. That's what they're going to do. Like, my professors did nothing to, like, help out. So, but a few years later, I'm driving down the 294 and I see the billboard that I created. Wow. I zoomed past it so I couldn't get a picture of it, but I saw the commercial I storyboarded, and I saw the billboard that I created in real life. So it was cool to see my work up there, but it's like my work was good enough to actually produce, but I wasn't good enough to actually go and work on my own work.
Yeah, which is
my consolation
crazy.
prize was an apron, like a cooking apron, and a throw blanket from the company.
That's awful. That's what you got.
That's what I got.
But that's such a great story to shine, like such a great way to paint how a lot of creative industries are. I know I really struggled with that, where like you said, I didn't have the ability to work a non-paid internship when I was in school. My parents couldn't, support me. I had to support myself, and that meant that I had to make money. And things might be different now. It's like, 10 plus years later. But I remember at the time, I wanted that, I craved the experience of getting into the field that any type of, PR firm or, magazine editorial company, anything that had to do with what I wanted to do. I was very open. I really, at the end of my senior year of college, felt like I'm going to finish out this degree, but there's I really realized that I was just passionate about the arts in general. And there was a lot that I could do. I love social media content creating. I love advertising, marketing, PR. But I have a huge passion for the arts. But to get into any kind of agency, company, it's cutthroat. And if you are doing that because you need money, you're not going to get it. No. Every opportunity was unpaid, but it was full-time work. Yeah. And the people in my major who were fortunate enough to have parents who could support them while they were support them by helping them pay rent. And I had friends in school whose parents who, they were fortunate enough where their parents did support them, and they were able to get into the field that they wanted, and they had these great internships, and they went on to, do bigger things, and then COVID hit, and everybody's life changed.
You are 100% right. Yeah. I have classmates that I see on LinkedIn that have been laid off recently after COVID and now. Classmates who I see who went into completely different career paths that they didn't study. And I've seen one or more of my former classmates be homeless.
That's horrible.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it's awful.
This is what what the pod's gonna be about.
Yeah. It's about really life being life today for us. I mean, could I make it more niche? And obviously, this is the Unemployed Diaries, and it's exactly what it kind of sounds like. It's a podcast, audio diary, basically about what life is like to be unemployed right now. But we're definitely going to talk about way more things and different topics, and
I definitely want to talk about the corporate world and how it is today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because when I was at corporate, I had people who had been working that same job for 30 years, and their experience and how it used to be. And then I had people who were there for maybe 5 or 10 years, and then you have me who was fresh into the corporate world. I wasn't fresh out of school because there was a gap between there, but I was new to the corporate world, and I just feel like you have 3 or 4 now 4 generations working in corporate, and how they butt heads, because at the time I was the youngest one on my team, and they could just not, they were so the people who were older than me were just so stuck in their ways. You could not get them to budge.
No.
And something too was when I was at my company, when I saw the writing on the wall with my last boss, I was like, let me see if I can move within departments. And I reached out to my marketing because they had in-house marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
They're like, you don't have enough experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I know the brand.
Yeah.
I work with you guys like every day. I said, I think I have to. They're like, well, then like one of the managers like, well, your salary is more than what we're offering. So we like, even if we were to transfer, we don't have the budget for you. I was like, what?
That's so common.
Yeah.
I think I don't even know where to start with that, but like, I mean, I do, but I have so many. My brain goes all over the place because I totally can relate to what that's like when you're, I know that the one company that I was at, because both mortgage companies I worked for are nationwide, big names, and the departments were so disconnected. Like, you work in your department and you don't talk to anyone else. I rarely spoke to anyone outside of my department, let alone understood what jobs even existed outside of my own. And do they tell you that, you can pivot and stuff like that? Well, you'd have to first find out that they're hiring. And a lot of the time they're not going to. Nobody's sending out mass emails going, hey, does anyone, we have an opening.
Right.
Companies, maybe you should do that. I don't think there would be anything bad with sending out an email to, if you have internally first and go, hey, these opportunities are available in these different departments, you can apply here. I always think the best thing for a company is to still retain staff. I think if you can retain staff, no matter what kind of market you're in, it's going to be worth it so much in the long run. I saw the one company I was at, it really should have just almost been like a temp agency. It was a constant influx of people being laid off, people getting fired, then we're rehiring, those people quitting immediately. It felt so difficult to stay there as and the sad thing is I wasn't there for more than like 5 years, and I had like the most seniority of anyone on the team. That's a red flag in my opinion, but to them that was seen as acceptable. And then you deal with also, and then luckily I didn't even work as a manager, but that existed up to basically almost like the CEO. Right. And it felt like it was impossible to get ahead. Yeah. It was like they would give us goals and then things would change and we could never last. They never, I feel like, gave us the amount of time to get to the end goal. And it was always cut short and then changed. Yep. And sometimes I think, especially with younger people, like for us, I would rather...
We're very young.
I would rather give my money to a company that I know treats their employees good, takes care of them, offers like very competitive benefits. I also want to, if I'm, working with professionals, I want them to know what they're doing. I want them to know how the company works. I don't want them to have to ping pong around and go, oh, okay, can we approve this? Can we approve that? Can we approve this? Can we approve that? I want to be able to just have someone who already knows how solid their team operates and is confident enough to go, yes, we can do this. No, we can't. Right. And...
Do I have a corporate horror story for you on that topic alone?
Yeah, and I think so. I felt a lot of the time so much like my job was just waiting around for approval, and it was approval from this person, or I have to go to someone else to get approval, who has to go to someone else to get approval.
Right. Did your company have meetings for meetings?
where they had a meeting and then we had to have a meeting to talk about the meeting that they had a meeting about.
Right, so I had that, yes.
Uh-huh.
And then I also had where my company, when I got hired, was trying to be more quote-unquote efficient and only have meetings to last 25 minutes. They're like, no more hour-long meetings is not productive. You need to get all your information in 25 minutes. Well, they would talk about the first 15 minutes of what happened in the last meeting.
Yeah.
And then spend the last 10 minutes or 5 minutes saying are this meeting's about this? Do we have any questions? All right, we're answer your questions at the next meeting.
Yes, I experienced that. And that was horrible.
That was one of the worst things.
Yeah.
And my last manager would sit in meetings all day. And so one day, I'm that's probably, shot myself in the foot. I was just like, yeah, so in your meetings all day, do you accomplish anything? I wasn't even trying to be shady or petty about it because I'm just, and she's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you sit in, I'm like, your calendar's blocked off. You have these meetings that go for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And what is going on in those meetings? What are you guys accomplishing so that we can move our projects along? What's going on? And she was just like, she couldn't answer my question.
Yeah.
I said another thing that I could not stand. I don't know if you experienced this with. You're working on a project one day. You're on track. Everything is going according to the timeline. And then boom, your manager's like, "We're now 2 weeks behind. We need to rush to get this done."
Yes and no.
Okay.
I experienced situations where I had a pipeline. I worked on my individual pipeline, and I could usually pretty well navigate my day based upon my pipeline and what needed priority and what didn't. And then we would get thrown these last minute rushes that needed to get done, but those were never accounted for my interpretation was that it was never accounted for in terms of how that would affect the other items that I had been working on, and that I knew, I was like, well, I went to bed last night, and I, knew that today I would come in, and today I would get done XYZ, on this specific file, and now you want me to pivot and do something else on a rush that I was totally not anticipating, but I'm still expected to get XYZ done.
Correct.
And if I can't, then that falls back on me. Right. It doesn't fall back on the fact that there was miscommunication or that or that somebody else wasn't prepared. Right. It was just, you have to do it, you have to get it done, and you have to get it done within 8 hours. And, it was everything felt, it was very high stress. Yeah. And, I go back and forth because I've really only worked remote in my professional career. And it's positive in certain ways, and I think it's negative in certain ways, because could I buckle down and get it done and yell in my office about how upset I was, and nobody had to see it? Yes. Right. But also, nobody had to see it. Nobody had to see an entire office of, angry employees who were, really, really struggling. Mentally, physically, just the implications of how much pressure was put on us, and how still at the end of the day underpaid we were. We were doing the job of so many people, and then the people above us just, it was you guys tell us we're not working hard enough, but again, it's you're in meetings all day. What are you doing? And not to say some meetings aren't stressful, but it's right. You're not actually doing the work. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I knew that both teams I was on before my first boss got laid off and then afterward were very small, considering how many stores the company had, physical stores. When I interviewed at another retailer, clothing, very famous mall retailer, and she asked, the recruiter asked me, she's like, all right, you have 9,000 stores. Yeah. She's like, you guys have 9,000 stores, how big's your team? I'm like, there's only 6 of us for 9,000 stores. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah. And then she's like, we have an entire just creative team of 20 people. Yeah. that just do creative, and it's like a team of like another 20
Yeah.
doing the execution.
Yeah.
And she's like, and we only have like 600 stores.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you can see that we're overworked, and it's just mind-boggling to me how my last boss was like, to your point, like you said earlier, like you had your daily task, and then they would throw you a curveball, and you had to pivot and do that.
Yeah.
She had me working on this one sign for something, and like I said, because a lot of my work was involved custom signage, and it all had to be approved by her.
Yeah.
We went over back and forth for a week on what the sign should look like.
Yeah.
I remember what it was for. It was for a vestibule, like when you walk into a store.
Yes.
And it was for a string of stores in Florida.
Okay.
And so, like, the sign that went in there had to be specific to those stores. And I listed all the store attributes, and she's like, do we really want to bring attention to those attributes? I'm like, we only got a certain number of attributes. Like, what do you want me to put in there? Like, ice cold beer? Like, what?
Yeah.
And my review, like my performance review was coming up like the week later, and she's just like, you took too much time on that. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
And she's like, you took a week for us. It took you a week to come up with the sign. I said, oh, I came up with like 5 original designs. Yeah. You picked one and asked me to tweak it several times. And she's like, yeah, it shouldn't take that long. You should make one and I should just like it instantly. And I was like, I'm sorry, but that's not how this works. Yeah. And so,
sorry, I didn't know art was objective.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know it was objective. Like, I didn't know, like, I had to make it perfect the first time so that you can move on from it. And so, like, she, like, marked me down, like, half a point for, like, time, quote-unquote, time management. And I was like, but you're the one who couldn't make up their mind. Yeah. Like, I can make the sign as many times as I want. You're the one who ultimately has to prove it. Yeah. And you know what she did? She ended up picking up the very first one I showed her.
That's funny. Yeah, that's so wild to me because, see, like, for me, when I imagine being in the shoes of someone who, rather than the one doing the creative thing, being the one that gets to pick the end result, I would want people on my team who are going to surprise me. Yeah. That's the whole point of having a creative team, is so you get different perspectives. If you have an idea of what you want, then just design it yourself. Have someone else get in there to give you a different perspective or give you a concept you never even, like, your own brain could have never imagined at this point. That's what's so wonderful about the arts, is how an entire group of us could look at one thing and we could interpret it completely differently. Like, I remember when we were in Paris, the one day we went to the park. Oh, yeah. You remember that? Yes, and I do. We had that assignment where we had to, like, it was like a 5-minute sketch. Yes. And then I think we had to write a little something about what are we hearing, what are we seeing. It was all about the senses. Right. And every single person drew something different, wrote down different things. And it was really fascinating. At least for me, I loved that exercise because it was a really good way of going, oh, here are the things that I didn't realize in this moment that I could have added into the things that I was sensing, you know? Yeah. And I think we need to really I think corporate America needs a renaissance, quite frankly. Like, we need an entire renaissance, and I think that's where I have faith in Gen Z a little bit. Yes. Where I like that I like that they push back on corporate culture. I like that, you know, they are really beating to the tune of their own drum. Like, I think it's kind of cool that if you go to, Nutter Butter's, like, TikTok page, it's just, like, brain rot content. Yes. It is, and it's hilarious that they're clearly paying someone to do that. And it's just, you don't need some bigwig to approve it. It's, you know, I like that that's the space we live in because it feels real. Yes. And that's what people want to connect with right now. I don't want to see, like, I hate to say it, but it's like, I don't want to see another, like, celebrity walking and promoting a brand that nobody is ever going to be able to afford.
Right.
I want to see someone wearing something that's like affordable, or I want to see someone promoting maybe their own product that is new, interesting, and feels authentic.
Correct.
to them or the brand. I think authenticity is a big one, and I think that's where a big disconnect is, because a lot of these older professionals think authenticity is one thing, and I think for a lot of us, it reads very fake.
Right. So that's something that when I was at Columbia, our professors were very old school, like very literal. Like if you look through magazines from like the 70s and 80s, you see the product like splashed right up on the page, and then you'd see like a paragraph of text underneath it. Like if it was like for like let's say a BMW, it's like other people drive a Mercedes.
Yeah,
it's like, but you know the conscious consumer, the savvy car driver drives a BMW, and because the BMW has this, like they wanted that.
Yeah.
And our generation's like, no, you want it to feel engaging, you want it to feel authentic, you want it to feel real, relatable. And I know sometimes being relatable can go a little too far, i.e. Jennifer Lawrence. But there's got to be some amount, the consumer has to see a little bit of themselves in the ad.
Yes.
So I remember coming up with ads that people can relate to, and my professors being like, no, redo it. That's like D grade work. We want A plus work. And like, I literally would have to do an old school print ad, put like a bunch of text and copy in it, and be like, here you go. I'm like, oh, you described the product perfectly. I'm like, is this a product description class or is this an advertising class?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I don't know if I sent it to you on Instagram or not, but Pine Sol is doing a string of ads.
I didn't know
like
that.
these two like video game, like early 2000s, like 3D video game looking characters. It's like this young girl with like pink hair and a wizard frog.
Yeah.
Okay, I love the ads.
Yeah.
Now I want to go to the store, smell this Pine Sol, but I'm also salty that somebody is getting paid to do that.
Yeah.
Because when I was applying for internships and applying for jobs at ad agencies, that type of work would never have flown, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, no.
They would have told me, no, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But now they're like, my house smells good now. Like, they're using the most ridiculous voices to sell Pine Sol.
It's captivating.
Yeah.
And I think part of it, too, is technology has, like, really changed. Social media has evolved a lot. And so to catch the eye of someone, you have to do it's true, you have to be a little out there these days in whatever it is you're making.
Right before the pandemic, when I was still in school, we were putting QR codes on things, and all my professors were like, do not put QR codes on things. They're like, that's not the way of an advertisement, that's cheating.
Yeah.
Pandemic hits, what happened?
Oh, everything's a QR code.
Everything is QR code. Scan for a menu, scan to download our app, scan to order online, scan for more information. You're setting up a new appliance, scan the app to get it onto your Wi-Fi, scan the QR code to get it on your Wi-Fi.
Everything is a QR code.
Everything's a QR code.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, cars now, you go to the mechanic, a part will have a QR code. All you do is scan it, and then, like, they have all the information about.
Yeah.
And our professor's like, don't do it. And they're everywhere now.
Yeah.
I'm salty.
That's just how it is. I think there's certain elements of the world that are predictable, and then there are some that just they aren't.
Yeah.
Like, for the everyday person, it's just completely unpredictable, and I think we try our best, but I do think there is. I think a reason why, like, the workforce feels so disconnected from their employers and generations feel really disconnected from one another is because I don't think they're talking. I don't think they're or maybe they're talking, but they're not listening.
Yes.
They're not. And I think there's an element of being in any kind of industry where you need to be adaptable. You need to be able to change your mind, but you have to. That's an internal thing.
Yeah.
You can't work at a company and gain that skill.
Right.
You kind of have to just have it within you. to go, okay, if I view something, if I think a certain way, and then I'm shown differently, I can then change my mind. Yeah, I'm allowing myself to change my mind to think, okay, maybe I was wrong. Mm-hmm. You have to admit sometimes that you are, maybe the way you thought was wrong.
Yeah.
And I think there's also this sort of difference with the surge of technology and social media, where it's always been prior to, like the 2000s, that if somebody was 60 plus old at your job, they knew everything. They mm-hmm. were like the wise one.
Right.
And they were well respected, and they were the sort of go-to person. And because technology has changed so much and social media has changed, a lot of those people have lost respect from the younger generation, because it's not because we don't want to respect them, but I think a big part of it is just you don't know everything.
Right.
And they're also not used to hearing that from someone so much younger. But it's true. When you look at the companies that are succeeding, mm-hmm. and you look at the companies that are winning with consumers, it's a lot of the companies that are able to do something different, really try out like a new idea, mm-hmm. Be like a leading force in change and innovation, and a lot of that I think is coming from a younger mind. Yeah.
I definitely agree. Mm-hmm. It was a real quick example. Mm-hmm. When I worked in the pharmacy, we had this one technician who I eventually took over for. Mm-hmm. She had been doing it for like almost 30 years, mm-hmm. and one day she's just like, you think you know everything? I'm like, no, I don't think I know everything, mm-hmm. but I'm willing to adapt and to change to do mm-hmm. something more efficiently.
Yes.
And she's like, well, I've been doing this for almost 30 years. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, maybe you've been doing it for 30 years, but maybe you've been doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And she like looked at me, mm-hmm. and like our boss was just like, he's got a point. Mm-hmm. Just because you've been doing something for 30 mm-hmm. years doesn't mean that your way of doing it is the best way.
Yeah, no.
And I think a lot of older people, especially our parents' generation, I think our parents are similar in age, mm-hmm. were promised, like, you work, you put mm-hmm. in the time.
Yes.
And then, like, after a certain point, if you've been there for so long, mm-hmm. and you get into a position either of management or authority, they're going to respect you automatically.
Yeah.
Like, they were promised respect.
Mm-hmm.
They were promised that if you did the work, did the
mm-hmm.
time, you would eventually
mm-hmm.
be able to coast towards the end of your career.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I'm like, that was like the worst thing that they could have been promised, because then they get stuck in their head.
Yes.
And mm-hmm. my last boss was like that. Mm-hmm. Even though she was almost 40, she had been working there for 17 years. Yeah. And when she took over, she mm-hmm. was just like, you guys need to respect me because I've been doing this longer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Like,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to respect you as my boss and do what mm-hmm. is asked of me.
Yeah.
But just because you were promised this doesn't mean it's going to go the way you thought it would.
No.
And it's, to your point, like, mm-hmm. the younger, I really, like, people make fun of Gen Z, there's a lot of
mm-hmm.
brainer out there. Yeah. But I, like you said, I have respect for them for going outside the box, pushing those boundaries.
Yeah.
Because that's also what's good,
mm-hmm.
that's what makes progress.
Yes.
Progress is the ability to change. Now,
mm-hmm.
this is not a Zodiac podcast, but mm-hmm. Dana and I are both Tauruses.
We can make it we could dedicate an entire episode to Zodiac signs.
She's a May Taurus, I'm an
mm-hmm.
April Taurus, so
a little different.
A little bit different, but we,
mm-hmm.
as Tauruses, mm-hmm. we like change that makes sense.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
We like change for the better things that are going to make improvements.
Yes.
I'm not the type of person who wants to change things for the sake of changing things.
No, I am not either. I'm the same way. If I do something, I need to know the why behind it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. I think our guests today are telling us that we need to wrap it up.
Well,
I know we've been talking.
We can. I don't
know how long you want to go.
We could wrap it up. I think it would be fun to end every episode with a fun little question to close it out.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind, you can go first. But my question for today is, What was your favorite memory from our time in Paris back in 2017?
I'm glad you asked. I would say, as this podcast goes on, you guys will slowly realize I'm a Disney adult. But the fact that you, Emma, Teresa, were so willing to go to Disneyland Paris with me and spend our like one free weekend that we had to go, that was great. And I really like cherished that because I was just like, I'm gonna go by myself if you guys want to tag along. And like, you know, and we were all broke. I'm still broke.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. I mean, there was a moment where I wasn't.
Yeah.
But that, and like, I remember like calling my mom being like, what credit card can I use? And I'm like, I promise they're all going to pay me back. I have the cash. And tickets were like, they were less than $60.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, I think they were like 50.
They were like $50. And we got on a train. We had our train passes. And we went. Yeah, it was cloudy. It was freezing rain that day. But we did it. And I was so happy that I did. And we all agreed when we got there, we're going to take pictures of each other. We're like, just pass the phone around. We'll all pose in the same spot. We'll all pose together.
Yes,
And we'll do it. And we did. And we got those pictures, and they're great. We got to meet Woody. We got to go on the Rock and Roller Coaster before they rethemed it to the Iron Man, which, lame. But Ratatouille. Yes, we got to get on it before it came to the States. That ride was a Disneyland Paris exclusive for many years.
I loved at the end of the night when it started snowing.
I did too. We saw
and it wasn't like freezing, but it was just. I remember, I think it was Teresa who said at the end, like while this is literally like on our way out, she said, "You'll never see snow at Disneyland," and I was like, we all went, "Oh my god, yeah!" And it was so nice.
We couldn't get on the Tower of Terror though because of the snow.
Right.
That trip, so I didn't get to go on until I went back with my sister.
Yeah.
Just fun little nerdy fact. That's the only Tower of Terror that's completely constructed of concrete and cement due to European building codes and laws.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the only one, but yeah.
Interesting.
Entirely. So, yeah, well, yeah.
I think my favorite memory from when we were in Paris was the morning that we were late for class.
Wait, were we? I don't remember this.
I swear, I think we were late and we were worried we were going to get in trouble. We were supposed to walk with our professor. And I don't know what happened. There was a miscommunication. I think we, at one point, got lost.
Yes, I remember now. We were supposed to meet them at a cemetery.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And I think we went to the wrong cemetery or something, but we got lost and... it was super early in the morning.
Yeah. Because
it was supposed to be like a sunrise walk to class. And it was only supposed to be like a mile or something. But we ended up having the best time.
Yeah, we did.
I loved being able to walk through and see the different parts of Paris that we wouldn't have seen based on the place we were staying at, and the other kind of more touristy stuff we were gonna do.
Yeah.
And then it was just really beautiful to like spend some time with friends. I felt really like we all really connected during that moment.
We did.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned it, I do remember that was the first time I ordered an espresso and a chocolate croissant completely in French.
Oh my god.
I'm still doing Duolingo to this day since that trip. French. I'm like still beginner. Like
I'll never forget the you walked into the restaurant, bonjour.
So
bonjour.
I had this really bad habit of speaking French with like a southern accent. So
yes.
I walked into a restaurant, I was like, bonjour, monsieur. Oh my god.
Monsieur. Yes. Oh my god.
These poor Parisians were like, what the hell is going on?
I was just talking to my friends about this like over the weekend. The only thing I learned how to say the entire time we were in France was Je suis un petit poisson. And if you know, you know.
No.
And I'm not going to tell you. You can Google Translate that.
Yes, je suis un petit poisson. And un burger sans oignon. that I had to learn how to say.
And we'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there, yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. Please leave any comments or questions. I think it would be really fun if you do leave a question I think if you listen on YouTube, you should be able to leave a comment. But we could start including questions in our podcast. So if you leave a question below, then we'll try to answer it in the next one. And if you have any ideas of what you want to hear from us, we're totally open. So
I love telling a good corporate horror story.
Yeah, we have some coming.
I have a lot up my sleeve. Let us know.
And I think we're gonna try to get some guests on as well. So if you are interested and you hear this and you have a story maybe that you want to tell, or if you have experience, or if you're unemployed, hit us up. You can, we do have I did set us up an email.
Okay, cool.
So I will...
Maybe put in the description of the YouTube upload? For sure.
Our contact information will be in the description of our YouTube video. So that will be there. And
thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really fun.
Yes.
I'm having a great time.
We're going to do some more, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.